Hello, I'm live on Facebook now. Let me just set up, I'm going to be setting up my live on Instagram. There we go. All right, now I'm live on Instagram as well. Hello, Instagram. Hello, Facebook. I'm here. We're a minute early. I want to take a minute just to make sure that things were working, things were set up before we started. So it's actually noon now, and we're ready to start. All right, welcome to my social media live. The social media live is taking place both on Facebook and on Instagram, so welcome to anyone watching on either side. These Instagram lives are part of a series that I do every 2 Wednesdays here on my channel, like on my social media accounts, where I talk about different topics related to either branding, graphic design, web design, WordPress, and other things that are related to my experience. So I had set up the light so that it looked okay, but right now it got way cloudy, and I think I'm looking rather like on Instagram. Sorry about that. Maybe because like on Facebook the light seems all right. So much for trying to set it up. That one bright? No, that one doesn't light it up, but it does fix it a bit. So much for trying to set up like the appropriate light. Like I'm setting this all up. It was actually way too light. That's why I'm blocking the light, and now it actually darkened a lot outside, and now it's very dark. Maybe I'll use my screen light, then it works on Instagram, but then on Facebook I look super bright. I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna be working it so that on future lives that I'm doing on both, hopefully there's like an ideal way for the light to be proper on both ways. But for now, we're just gonna leave it like that. Thanks for everyone who's joining, both on Facebook and on Instagram. Today's topic is about user experience. And so user experience is a term that we hear a lot often. It's one of those like modern terms that has come with the use of apps and everything for mobile and responsiveness. That's another term that has been around since all that became a thing. And when we think of user experience, maybe some of you are thinking of, oh yeah, apps. Like a lot of people, that's what they do. They do apps and they have to take that in account. Or there's many other things nowadays that use user experience, like touch screens. Sometimes when you enter a building, you have a big touch screen and you have to use it to navigate the building, stuff like that. User experience is very important for that, but we don't think about the fact that user experience actually applies to pretty much anything that you're gonna present to someone for them to use. We have websites and blogs. A lot of people now can very easily set up a blog, but we don't think about the fact that user experience is relevant in that aspect as well. And so think about it. Everything we buy comes, like if we buy something at the store, we bring it home, we want to learn how to use it, it usually brings instructions. But our website doesn't bring instructions when people visit it, not exactly. So we have to make it in a way where people can easily know how to get anywhere on your website. And so I'm going to be talking today about some tips that you need to take in account to be able to give those instructions to the people. The moment they visit the website, they will know what to do. They will know where to go depending on what they want to do. And they will love the experience and want to come back. That's what user experience is about, is designing things in a way that people will want to return. People will feel comfortable using your website. So let's talk about that. Whether you have a website for your business, you have an online store, you have a blog, either kind of website that you have, you need to think of a couple questions when you are setting things up. What is the first thing that will catch your visitors' attention? when they enter the website, are they gonna know right away where the menu is? Are they gonna know how to navigate around the other pages? If they're visiting on mobile, is everything close enough that if they're browsing on one hand, can they access it all from one hand? So like those kind of things, just like put yourself in your website visitor's mind and try to go over it. We are sometimes very, very used to our own website, so much that we don't realize like little hiccups that are there. Or maybe we know the shortcuts to how to get to places quickly. But if someone that's never been on your website, will they know that that shortcut is there if you don't point it out, if you don't put it somewhere where the visitor can easily access it? So think about those kind of things. Put yourselves in your visitor's shoes and think about the things that could make that experience a bit easier. So with those questions in mind, I'm going to talk now about a few tips that can help you with those questions and also with anything else that could help the user experience. So the navigation of your website is really, really important because that's how the visitor will move around your website. We know that stats, I don't have the correct, like the definite stats right now, but it's very, very common that someone visits your website and doesn't like they just stay on the front page and then they leave. So let's make it as easy as possible for them to want to navigate and for them to be able to find how to navigate. So think about this. Can users determine very easily where your menu is and how to click on it and where the pages will lead them? Sometimes we want to get creative with the names that we give the pages in the menu, but really, like, you can be creative, but keep it also straightforward. Make sure people understand what they're clicking on, and if they want to find something, that they can know right away where to find it. People don't have to think twice to get somewhere else on your website. So it's kind of hard because at the same time we don't want our website to look just like all the other websites. We want it to be unique and we want it to make it stand out, but don't compromise the usability of it just to make it different. It's not really gonna work out to try to be unique if no one's gonna wanna use it anyways. So let's find that balance between it so that people can actually navigate it and like it for its uniqueness. Oh, thank you so much, Optima Lotto. I hope that's how you say it. Yes, Optima Lotto is saying function and form need to be there. It is so true. Like, we have to just find the balance between like what's going to be aesthetically pleasing, what's going to be interesting and eye-catching, but also what's going to be functional. Because if it's not functional, it's not worth it. Thank you so much for participating. And I'm reading comments out loud because I'm both on Facebook and on Instagram. So people on Instagram are not seeing what people on Facebook are writing and vice versa. But yeah, I'm gonna try. This is my second time doing the Facebook Live thing, so I'm not sure where comments will appear there. I hope I'm not missing them. I'm more familiar with Instagram. But oh well. I'm gonna continue with point number 2, and that's readability. And nowadays, so many things that we have access to. We have Google Fonts that puts hundreds of amazing fonts just a click away. Like, it really is just like click to copy, click to paste it on our website style sheet, and we can use whatever font we want. But having so many options can also have bad consequences. And it's that a lot of fonts are not actually ideal for some of the content we want it for. For example, when you are writing out paragraphs, writing out chunks of content, you have to make sure it's in a font that's easy to understand, whether you are on a phone device or if you are on a big desktop. So take that in account and don't make it hard for people to read. Also, take in account your demographics. We have a lot of like it's ideal when everybody can use a website, but do think of the people who are using your website, that you want them to use it. Like, there's certain fonts that are gonna be harder to understand for older people, and there's certain fonts that are gonna be harder to understand to younger people. So use the fonts that you want your ideal visitors to use. Optimalog is doing here. Oh, thank you so much. And she has a question. It says, are sans serif fonts better for readability? So it depends a lot. Sans serif is better on screens because so the serif and the sans serif, the different, a serif is like the little decoration on the fonts. How to, like, not the decoration, but like those little like extra things that they add at the end, that's a serif. So on screens, they get pixelated sometimes, and they can make, oh, the tail, yeah, that's a good word to say, thank you. And so that little tail can make it sometimes hard on screens because they are more prone to get pixelated because they're very small. While when you print it out, it's actually sometimes easier to read things that have a serif because they help leading into the next word. So in general, it's very standard ones. They can be read both on screen and on print, but if you're using one that's like very extreme, for example, there's some sans serif that have like very thin lines like under downstrokes, and those can be hard to read in general, unless it's like very big text. So that's more what the readability here is. It's just like making sure it's not only about serif or sans serif, even though that is also important, but also just to use the right font for the right content. Like, you can use a very decorative font for a head title because it's gonna be big and it's gonna be easy to read. But if it's for a whole paragraph, it can be harder to read, and then people might not want to like pay that extra effort try to figure it out. I also gotta say, like, computers nowadays have come, like, pixels are each time like even more defined, so it's becoming less and less of an issue to use serif or sans serif on screens. But for a rule, that's like a way to think about it. If you want just like very easy readability, make it sans serif if it's meant to be read on screens. Make it serif if it's meant to be read on print. Although on print, we can also, like, depending on the size, you may also get away with what you want. And now this is not websites, but it just like reminds me of a project I was working on last week for a client, and I was working on a workbook that people are meant to print. So we did the whole process on digital, putting together the PDFs, and on the last day, I actually printed it out to go through it. And I realized that some of the things were actually hard to read on print, because of things like downstrokes being very skinny. They are not as, like, they're the same size on the computer, but when you print them, in this specific example, there were like blocks of black with white text on top. And so I'm thinking that when it printed out, the black ink was kind of like overwhelming the white. Way harder to read on print than on screen. And since it was meant to be something for people to print out and fill out themselves, then it was the last day. But luckily, like, it was just a matter of making all the fonts that were on those black blocks a bit thicker, and that helped it completely. Then we printed it out. It was the same font, we just made it a bit bolder, and it worked really well. So, oh, thank you so much. But yeah, it's just a matter of like trying it out and making sure that things are readable. The next point I'm gonna talk about is above the fold. That's another term that you might or might have not heard. I believe this was used with newspapers before, but now it's something that has moved on to websites. And it's when you open a website, the very first part you see. For the most part, a lot of websites, you scroll down and they continue. So the above the fold is the part that you don't have to scroll to see any of it. It's very hard to determine exactly where it ends, because with so many devices nowadays, on mobile, the above the fold is going to be that little square. On a big iMac, the above the fold can be like a whole big rectangle. So make sure that when you are creating your above the fold content, it fits on as many devices as possible, and that it makes a good impression. Optimalocto is asking if it's different from the header. It can be different from the header. Like, the header is part of the above the fold. Some people have the header be just like the whole size. So in that case, the header would be the above the fold part. But in some cases, the headers are very compact and they might just be like the logo, and maybe like a very skinny image, and there might be more information underneath, and that might still be part of the above the fold. So a header is part of the above the fold, and it could possibly be the whole above the fold, but it's not necessarily. The above the fold might have other elements as well. So when someone visits your website, like, you really only have a few split seconds to have that person make a first impression of your website. So make sure you use those little seconds wisely. Make sure to include things that will attract people. Yeah, you're very welcome. And thank you so much for participating, because like the questions that you ask are the things that people probably are also wondering and watching the live. So thank you so much, Optimalocto, on Instagram for your participation. Feel free to ask any other questions while we're at this. But yeah, so make sure that that first, that you have all the elements that you want people to see. It's impossible to just like put everything you want people to see there, because then it's gonna be too crowded, and then that's not gonna work either. But use keywords that will attract people. Have a navigation that will allow people to like understand right away what your website would be. Optimalocto is asking if you would put a newsletter header there, and yes, I've seen a lot of people do it. I'm not doing it right now, but I have done it. It's definitely a good place for a call to action, especially if it's a call to action that is kind of like also at the same time telling people what you do and what you are. So that would be a good place for it. Like, I have seen a lot of people who have like, welcome to my website, I do this and this. If you want this, just sign up, and you can add your little form there. That is a very good way to use your above the fold. And yeah, make sure it's something that calls their attention and that invites them to do something. So the call to action is a really good way to do it. Some other people use the space to like very clearly show like 3 boxes with their services, 1, 2, 3, depending on what your emphasis is. What is the first thing that you want users to do? And do you think that's gonna make them want to stay on your website? Put that there, and then make sure that it's also working for all the different sizes that your website will be looked at, on mobile, on tablet. Make sure it all works there. My next tip is talking about something similar as well, and it's responsiveness, talking about making sure it fits in different sizes. And responsiveness is very, very important. It's crazy that, let's see, we're in 2019. 10 years ago, it was starting to be a thing, but it really wasn't that big now. But now, a website that does not have a mobile version of it, it's not gonna make it. I mean, like, how many of you are watching, like, most of you probably are watching this live from your mobile device. I'm very often browsing websites on my mobile device, because sometimes you're just like, oh, I think I need someone to help me with this and that. And I'm like, I have some like people on Instagram that could help me, and I just go on my phone and I look it up right there. And if I find that that they can offer the services that I want, then I like make a note so that later I actually go on my computer and do more. do more on their website and check out their services and everything more. But like the very first contact, I usually do via my phone. So it is very important to make sure things are. Here on Instagram, we have some more comments. It says, I'm rebranding and rebuilding. Oh yeah, that's definitely a good reason to do it, because really nowadays, and especially, like, it's another question where you have to think about your audience. But there's a very big chance that your audience uses phone more than desktop nowadays. There are still several generations that might do more tablet or might do more desktop, but really slowly, like, we see, like, even our grandparents are using phones now. So I mean, this really, like, this is very important. So I have a little tip for this, because I remember when I first started working with mobile, first of all, there were not as many sizes as there are now. Like, there was just like the standard, like, cell phone, slightly bigger cell phone, normal tablet, and then computer. And now there's like sizes, like now you can really design for specific sizes like I would back then. Now you just have to make things that adjust no matter the size, because there's so many different kind of phone sizes and tablet sizes and even computer sizes, from like super small laptops to like really big screens. Like on my Instagram, you're not even like able to see how much I'm expanding my hands on how big those screens are. But it's hard to think, like, how am I supposed to design for all those different sizes if I don't even, like, I only have one phone and one computer, and if I really wanted to, I could ask for my husband's phone and try his, because it's a different size. But luckily, you don't have to. I have a little trick that I want to talk to you about for this, and it's, if you use Chrome as your browser, you can actually go into any page, you do a right click, and there's an option that says inspect. So when you click on it, there's show up. It might be on the bottom, it might be on the side, but it's gonna be a bar that has a lot of HTML code. Don't worry about that HTML code. You don't need it right now. But on the top bar of that sidebar or bottom bar, there are different icons, and the second one is called Toggle Device Toolbar. And if you click on it, then it's gonna create a frame around your website that you're browsing in, and it actually has a drop down where you can choose different sizes. Like if I open it here right now, it says Galaxy S5, Pixel 2, iPhone 5, iPhone 6, iPhone X, iPad, iPad Pro. And then I can just click on any of those, and the browser is going to resize to that size. And that way I can see how it's looking at that size. There's even an option that's just called responsive. And so the frames around your browser will get a little icon to resize, and then you can just like resize it, make it bigger, and resize it to make it smaller. You can make it taller, you can make it shorter, and that way you can test how your website is looking in those different aspects. It really saves time, and it's a very, very convenient tool to be able to know how your website's looking on other sizes. But yeah, let's see. Yes, mobile is where it's at. It's the future. It's crazy because if we think about 10 years ago, 2009, it was starting to be a thing, but it's not as big as now. And if we think about like in 10 years, like I don't even know where we're gonna be at. As a designer, it's kind of exciting and intimidating at the same time. I'm like, I gotta be like keep up with this because like I can let it like push me back. I have to be on top of this all the time. Some teams allow you to do that like in WordPress before you go live in preview. That is true. A lot of also like page builders that you use. I use the Beaver page builder for my WordPress pages, and they have a preview, and they even have like when you click on the preview mode, you can choose the different icons to see the different sizes. So there's a lot of tools that can help a lot. so use them. The tools are there for us to use. Make sure you use them so that you can the best experience possible for your users. Like it happened to me like a month ago that I was thinking that I might need help for something, and I'm like, I think I follow someone on Instagram that does that. So I went to check on their website, and their menu was not working on responsive, and I'm like, but like I wasn't anywhere close to my computer, so I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna bother. And so like what happened to me could happen to your ideal client, your ideal reader. Sometimes we just don't want to bother. If we're on our phone, we just want to be able to do things from there. So and like in it hit me. I'm like, I have to go to my website and make sure that everything's working, because if I would have been on my website, I would have just like let it be and tried somewhere else. So good advice here, everyone. And those are the 4 tips I had for you today. If you apply these little things, like they sound very simple. They sound very like, oh yeah, of course it's what I gotta do. But as I tell you, like it's good to be checking, especially if we make any little changes on our website. Just like make sure, go look at other sizes. If you want to add anything new to your above the fold, go make sure it looks good on all times. Oh, something very useful is ask a friend, ask your sibling, ask someone that doesn't know your website. Ask them to go around your website and like tell them like, okay, browse the website for 3 minutes and tell me what you did and how you got there and what you thought of the experience. And make it time, because the less time they have, then you can actually see if people can like quickly move around and find what they want. And like ask them questions about what they think, how easy navigating was, if they had any trouble on their mobile devices. Just like ask them, like really, you don't need to like be like trying to guess what people are thinking. No, like use your roommate, use someone close to you. Your business bestie would probably want to help you with that. We've got some more comments here. I'm so grateful to have found you and to know for it was probably like a sign of the universe, of the Malakto, and I'm super grateful that you were here because you asked the questions that make this video actually useful. So thank you so much. I'm glad this could help you, and good luck with your redesign. It's great that you're taking like a hold of your website and doing these changes. Sure. Thank you. So I have a little announcement to make. Some of you might know, I sometimes like I try to have new blog posts every 2-3 weeks or so for you guys. So I have several blog posts already that are called 5 website must-haves. You might have seen it. Just last week I was talking about the Bloggers Kit. So I already actually made a link on my website so that you can very easily access all my 5 website must-have series. There's 3 right now. One of them is the starter kit that is like I recommend for any kind of website. Then there's the small business edition that talks about different things that I recommend for businesses. And then there's the bloggers kit. And I'm actually working on another one right now. So that one should be coming out like in 2 weeks or so. If you want to access this series of blog posts, I have them already available. If you are watching on Instagram, go to my profile, and in the link in the bio, when you click on it, there's going to be one of the options that says website must-haves or website must-have series. Actually, I have it open right there. It says website must-haves series, and it's going to take you to a website where you can read about different things that I recommend for websites. For those on Facebook, I'm going to be putting the link on the video once it's published. I'm going to be linking it there, so you know. Also, second announcement I want to make, my lives are going to be changing a bit. I've been doing them. I started doing them on January every 2 Wednesdays at the same time here with you guys. But so instead of just like, because like I had told some of you guys that this was like a goal that I had for this year, is to come and do these lives. So it's not that I'm giving up the goal, it's actually that I'm like leveling it up. I'm still not completely sure of the changes that I'm gonna make. If anything, I'm gonna be doing them more often, but things are gonna be changing up a bit. So keep following my stories, because that's where I'm gonna be publishing when the next live is gonna happen and how things are going to be changing. But I'm definitely still gonna be here. I'm happy to like show you some advice and share with you guys what I know. Let me catch up with the comments again here. Will this tip be part of a freebie? So yeah, actually, so I'm working on a freebie, but it's not ready yet. I'm hoping that maybe by the next time I do my live, like a big live in 2 weeks, I might have it ready. We'll see. It's Christmas in March. That is so nice, because I love Christmas. So I'm so glad that this has been so useful for you. And yeah, lives, I was super scared of doing lives, but they're really not as bad. And I don't know, it's interesting. Like, it makes you like, it's to share with other people and to connect with other people. And just like this conversation I'm having with Optimal Octo that's been commenting throughout the session, and it's been awful. That's, I mean, awesome. Oh my gosh. It's been awesome, because it's a conversation that we otherwise would have probably never had. So I recommend lives. They're pretty good. The third announcement that I have for today is that I'm opening up strategy sessions. They're going to be available. I opened 10 spots for the during March and April. But let me pull this up, because so on my last live 2 weeks ago, I had mentioned to you guys that I was gonna be opening strategy sessions again soon. And this time, I not only have the one site assessment session that I used to offer, I'm gonna be offering both site assessments and a new one that's called brand exploration. So I'm gonna talk a bit about this now. Strategy sessions consist of the 3 different parts. Anyone who like books it, this is what we would get. You and I will hop on a call, and we're gonna talk about the changes that you want on your website. We're gonna set goals that you want to achieve. We're going to, like, it's gonna be, depending on the session, site assessments are 1 hour long, and brand explorations are 1.5 hours. So they're a bit long, but that's because we really will like talk about the things that you want to achieve, and we're just gonna like plan them out, map them out. And after that call, then I'm gonna just like dive deep into your website. I'm gonna go through everything. You're even gonna give me access to your backend, so that I can go and check out the backend and go check out your systems, so that I can see how things are working. And then at the end, I'll send you a document with all the changes that I recommend you do for you to be able to get those goals done that we talked about. Site assessment is a 60-minute strategy session. We jump on a call, and it's one-on-one completely. We talk about your website. We evaluate what's working, what's not working, what you want to improve, what goals in general you want for your business that you might be able to achieve through your website. And then I'm gonna create that implementation plan for you, which is gonna include things step by step. I'm gonna give you recommendations based on your budget. I can give you like recommendations for like paid software or paid program, or if your budget is smaller, then I can actually like come up with a plan that you can do for even a lower cost, or even for free. It might include more parts to it, but hey, if it's for free, then sometimes it's worth putting up a bit more work to be able to do it for free when the budget is small. I've been there. And so, and then you receive that plan that you can use to be able to achieve the goals that we established during our strategy session. That's the site assessment. And the new one is called the brand exploration. Brand exploration includes a site assessment, but it goes beyond. Because in the brand exploration, we're not only going to talk about your website, we're also going to talk about your online presence in general. We're going to talk about your social media, your newsletter, if you have a podcast, anything else that you put out there that you use to show your brand, your business to those around you. We're gonna talk about it too. And same thing as the strategy session, as the first one, it will consist, and this time it's a 90-minute call where we're gonna talk about goals. We're gonna talk about what's working. We're gonna talk about what you feel is not working. We're going to talk about the systems that you're using, and we're gonna set the goals that you want to achieve. And then I will go and evaluate everything about your brand, everything, and even like if you have any offline things, you can like send me photos of your business cards or things like that. I will evaluate them too. Evaluate the strategy that you're using to put yourself out there. We're gonna take it all together, and I'm just gonna like go dive deep. We're still gonna do the site assessment part where I'm like going to go inside behind the scenes of your website, look how the systems are set up, look if things are working. But I can also go inside your newsletter if you want me to, check out your automations. Like I'm really gonna go into like every little deep hole I can and analyze all of it and see why it's not performing what you want, how you want it, and how we can make it work how you want it. So this one also includes at the end a document with the whole implementation plan, all the tips, all the steps, all the recommendations about software or plugins that I would recommend for you to use to be able to reach the goals that we talk about. So those are the two type of strategy sessions that I'm opening up spots for. As I said, there's only 10 spots during the months of March and April, and then we'll see when I open it up again. I'm not very sure. Since this is not my main lot on how my client work is doing. So we'll see. So far we have those 10 spots. I have 5 spots for site assessment, 5 spots for brand exploration, and you can access them. Like I'm gonna put, actually it's 12:36, so at 12:30 the link was meant to go up on my page on Instagram. If you click on the link in the bio, 12:30 it should have gone up with the link to be able to schedule your site assessment or brand exploration. And I'm gonna be adding that link here to the Facebook video as well when we wrap this up. If you, I don't know, if for some reason you just want the URL, you can get to them by going to saraobando.com. That's SARAOBANDO.com/strategy. And it will take you to the website. And there you can read more information about it, and you can request to have a strategy session with me. Now, I think that's it. And let's see. Yeah, we've covered everything today. Thank you very much for those who watch live. Thank you very much for your input and your questions. That just makes the life so much, much better. Because like really you're asking the questions everybody wants to know. As for people watching rewatching the, oh man, what's the word? It's not the rewatch. Watching the replay, that's the one. People watching the replay, it will be available here on Instagram for 24 hours. And after that, it will be available, it will continue being available on my Facebook page. So for those on Facebook, if you're just catching the end of this, or if you just watch part of it and you want to be able to watch all of it, you will be able to find it here on my Facebook. For those on Instagram, if the 24 hours are over and it's no longer linked on my profile, then, I mean, it's no longer, like on the linked on my profile picture after 24 hours. After this finishes up and I wrap up, I'm gonna go copy the link on Facebook and add it so that when you click on the link on my bio, right now there's an option that says latest live branding elements. That's the live from 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to be replacing that with latest live and user experience, and that way you can access it through the link in my bio. So yeah, this is it. Thank you so much for watching. Those watching the replay, send me a message and let me know what you thought. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, even via private message. And I think that's it. Thank you so much. Let's see, we're gonna say bye to Instagram first. Bye, Instagram. There we go. Bye. And here on Facebook, I just have like stuff in front that I have to move. There is where we ended. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.